The silence in the Deep Space Research Hub at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory was not the usual quiet of focused work. It was the heavy, suffocating silence of a room full of people who had just realized that every textbook, every equation, and every fundamental law of physics they had spent their lives defending was suddenly obsolete. Dr. Elena Vance stared at the monitor, her hands hovering over the keyboard, frozen. The data from the Horizon 9 probe vessel, powered by a revolutionary dark matter drive that had defied the lightspeed barrier, was unjust groundbreaking. It was impossible. For decades, the scientific community believed the universe was an ever-expanding void, a bubble growing into an infinite nothingness. But as the probe reached what should have been the cosmic horizon, the limit of the observable universe, it didn't find more empty space. It didn't find distant, cooling galaxies. It found a wall. The panic began in the telemetry department. "We're seeing a hard reflection," a junior analyst shouted, his voice cracking. "The signal isn't dissipating, it's bouncing back." Elena leaned in, her eyes scanning the infrared signatures. At the farthest edge of existence, where the Big Bang's echo should have faded into a whisper, there was a structure. It was a membrane of unimaginable scale, vibrating at a frequency that matched no known element. As the probe's high-resolution cameras adjusted to the extreme redshift of the region, the grainy images began to resolve on the main screen. The edge wasn't a cliff or a void. It was an iridescent, geometric lattice. It looked less like a natural phenomenon and more like a biological cell wall, or more terrifyingly a casing. "This can't be right," whispered Dr. Aris Dorn, the lead astrophysicist. "If the universe is 13.8 billion years old and expanding, the edge should be moving away from us faster than we can track it. We shouldn't be hitting a physical boundary." The panic shifted from technical confusion to existential dread when the probe attempted to transmit a pulse of LiDAR to map the surface. The moment the laser hit the lattice, the entire wall rippled. The ripple didn't just stay at the edge. It traveled back toward the center of the universe. Within seconds, sensors across the solar system, from the James Webb Space Telescope to the lunar outposts, detected a massive gravitational spike. "We just poked the cage," Elena said, her voice barely audible. NASA's headquarters immediately went into a classified lockdown. The research team was ordered to cease all transmissions, but it was too late. The data was already flowing in, and it told a story that humanity wasn't prepared to hear. The universe was not an infinite expanse. According to the probe's spectrographic analysis, the composition of the boundary was identical to the internal structure of a black hole's event horizon, but this led the scientists to a horrifying conclusion. The Big Bang wasn't the beginning of everything. It was the moment our bubble was pinched off from something else. We weren't living in a vast, open cosmos. We were living in a microscopic pocket of a much larger, much denser reality. The panic reached its peak when the probe's audio transcription sensors designed to pick up vibrations in the interstellar medium captured a sound. It wasn't the random static of space. It was a rhythmic, low-frequency thrum that stayed constant. It sounded like a heartbeat. "If that's a heartbeat," Thorne asked, his face pale under the fluorescent lights, "then what are we?" The scientists realized that by reaching the edge, they had alerted whatever was on the other side to their presence. The lattice was changing, the colors shifting from deep violets to a searing, angry red. The probe began to melt, not from heat, but from a sudden change in the laws of physics around it. Gravity began to invert. Time at the edge was diluting. At NASA, the mission directors debated cutting the feed. If they stopped watching, maybe the reality of what they found would stay at the edge. But the data continued to scream across the monitors. The boundary was thinning. The panic wasn't just about the discovery of a wall. It was the realization that the wall was the only thing keeping the outside from getting in. As the Horizon 9 probe sent its final, distorted image, the scientists saw a glimpse of what lay beyond the lattice. It wasn't stars. It wasn't light. It was vast and ancient, looking back through the hole they had just made.